Hi there. This is Elaine Jarvis coming to you from Jarvis Law, not another boring law firm. And I wanted to report in about a bad day I had in federal court on Friday. That's November 1st. It was actually about as bad of a day as a lawyer could have. And apologies to those of you who tried to watch my last video. I become technically incompetent as I become older and I hit the mute button as I was trying to check the volume to make sure it works, which kind of seems consistent with how things have been going at the law firm this past week or so. Okay, so we're involved in this case, and it's a big case, and it's an incredibly important case. Um, we brought a a civil action, a 1983 action, which basically alleges that the prison where my client has been kept for the past 18 months has been violating his constitutional rights as they're secured by Section 1983, 42 USC 1983, which is the legislation and the law that affords all of us our 14th Amendment due process rights. Now, my client is an incredibly good human being. His name is Mustafa Al Jazari, and he's been held at the Prince William Manassas Regional Adult Detention Center. And just for purposes of not having to say that whole mouthful, I'm just going to call it the jail. He's been held in jail for 18 months. And out of those 18 months, he's been held in solitary confinement for 500 days. And not only has he been held in solitary confinement for 500 days, they have had the lights on. And while holding him, we've alleged that they have beaten him. And then to cover up the beatings, have denied him. On Friday, we were going to court to ask the judge for a preliminary injunction to transfer my client to either another facility in Virginia until he has his trial, or to give him an independent medical examination, or send him to the hospital, but again, an independent hospital where he can obtain medical treatment. He's suffered grievous injuries while he's been held at this jail. And all of this is described in the public documents that we've submitted. The problem is we've also gotten documents from the jail that were submitted under seal. And if you don't know what an under seal means, it basically is a protective measure that the courts take to make sure that if there's, say, security information or stuff about how the jail runs its security, or if there's information about other inmates, that information can be protected. It does not and should not mean that the jail can hide what it does behind closed doors that is violent or abusive to the inmates that are held within the jail. And it is still my firm belief and my firm argument that these videos that we receive should not be held under seal. The reason that I believe that is because we live in a constitutional democracy. The entire point of our Constitution is supposed to be to protect our liberties and to keep us safe. And my client is an innocent man. He's not been on trial yet. He's a pre-trial detainee. So imagine if you had a son that was arrested one day for a crime that he didn't commit. And while he was awaiting trial, he was beaten, he was deprived medical treatment. Imagine the hell that that would put you through, and that's what my client's family has been going through. So we received videos from the jail that I believe demonstrate exactly the kind of treatment that we're suing for. And when I first got the videos, I released one of the videos before it was under seal, as I understood it. And it very dramatically circulated the internet. I went into court 2 weeks ago, and the judge heard me out. He heard the opposing counsel, and he said that until he could review the videos, they were going to be kept under seal. And then he issued a direct order that I was not to publish any of those videos and was to remove any of those videos from my website, which I did. I also spoke to my client's family and asked them to remove the videos that they had shared, and that took a few days for us to accomplish. And it was my absolutely sincere effort and attempt to combine the right of the jail to protect its security measures with the public's right and need to know what's happening in its own country, in its own jails, um, to its own citizens. And once again, I firmly believe that these uh, videos should be released. However, once the court gives an order, I have to follow it. And I believe just as much in the sacredness of a court order as I do in our inalienable rights under nature, under God, to have our liberties and to be free and to be actually protected by the folks that serve under our Constitution and under our laws. Um, I really believe that cops are good, or should be good, and I believe most of them are good. But there's some cops that have been involved in my client's life that I don't think have been good. But none of that matters. When a judge says that you will respect my order, I respect the judge's order. And if I don't want to respect the judge's order, then I'm facing something called contempt. And I don't want to face contempt. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to violate a court order. So I go in there on Friday and I make my plea for a preliminary injunction. Now, just so you understand, a preliminary injunction is a really high bar. It's a really unlikely thing that you're going to get because you have to prove a number of things. You have to prove that your client is suffering irreparable harm, that your client is likely to prevail on the merits. You need to prove that there's no other way to get your client relief, and you have to prove that the public interest outweighs the bad effect of getting the preliminary injunction. So I made an impassioned plea to the judge. The judge that we have in our case is a very good judge. Um, he is very seasoned. He knows about three times more about the law than I probably know. Um, he's quite old, and there's nothing wrong with being quite old. It's often good to be old because you know more. Anyways, he's also not like the softy type that is as interested perhaps in complaints from prisoners. In fact, I sort of got the impression that he's heard it all and he thinks that all prisoners complain. But those are just my impressions. I have no idea what's in a judge's head. All I know is what the judge rules. So the judge issues his ruling. Now, again, I'm in federal court. Federal court. You walk into Alexandria, and it's the most beautiful courtroom ever. You've got eagles, you've got all these symbols of justice, you've got decorum, you've got expectations. And if you're a nerd like me, a law nerd, a law geek, you're like, cool, I'm in federal court. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. It's going to be a good day. I'm going to make a good argument. I'm going to advocate for my client. Okay, so that's how I thought things were gonna go. That's not how things went. I made my argument, and then my client, not my client, because my client's not there. See, and that's one of the things that I want to make crystal clear. My client, my only client, is Mustafa Al Jazairi. My client is not his family. My client is not any of his friends. My client is Mustafa, and it's my job to zealously advocate for him, to protect his interests. And so, one of my client's brothers stood up and screamed, "This is bullshit. I'm never going to obey the laws, and I'm never going to do what I'm told." So someone's knocking at the door. I don't know who it is. I almost feel like um, someone is going to be coming to get me because of what happened in court the other day. Um, so, anyways, he stood up and he yelled, "I'm going to release everything. You can't stop me. I'm releasing everything to everyone." And I'm sitting there listening, and I'm actually kind of shaken. Um, and frazzled, and I don't know what to do. Fortunately, the deputy knew what to do. He told my client's brother to get the hell out of there. And then I went and spoke to the family and spoke to them at length and told them what I thought of that behavior in court. And I was also very grateful because I've been back and forth with opposing counsel several times. It hasn't been the easiest or most amicable relationships, um, in part because I'm claiming that her clients have been beating my client. So all that happened, and the judge walked out of the room, and I was horrified, and I was very upset. I was emotional, and she patted me on the shoulder and she said, "This isn't the way you want to practice law, is it?" And I said, "No, of course not." I don't think I said, "No, of course not." I think I just kind of meeped or murped. Um, but anyways, that's one of my worst days in court, and, I'm also facing, a difficult decision, as I proceed forward, because once again, I am not cool with violating a court order, and I have, a number of thoughts about that, but it's kinda simple. We don't disobey a court order. If documents are sealed, they remain sealed, and they remain sealed on my watch. Um, I wanted to speak out because I have spoken out before on this case, and I wanted to make it very clear that I am not okay with any violations of any court orders. Um, and I'm also very grateful and very privileged to have my law degree. I'm very grateful to have my law firm and to be able to serve people all over Virginia, parts of Maryland, and I don't want to ever lose that privilege. So, thanks for listening. If you have any questions, if you have any follow-up questions about legal ethics, or what kind of decisions that I have to make look going forward, I'm happy to answer them as long as they don't violate my client's confidentiality, or of course the court order. And just to be clear, I'm allowed to talk about what I've seen. I'm allowed to talk about what I've heard on videos, but I'm absolutely not allowed to, nor do I want anyone else to publish any of these videos. It's very important to me that we do not sabotage Mustafa's case. And if these videos are released, if these protected and sealed videos are released, it will hurt my client. So I hope that anyone that watches this video understands that I am pleading, that I am begging, and I am ordering you, if you know me, to please take those videos down. It's not how we do things. It's not how we ever do things. And I will consider it a personal insult to my honor if anyone posts those videos after I've asked you not to. With that, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe, ask us comments, and thanks for tuning in to Not Another Boring Law Firm. Elaine Jarvis, I'm out for the night.